Welcome to another AV Connect training video. Today we're going to be looking at users and logging into the system. Our objectives today are going to be to define a user, create a user, access audience view, and then finally to actually log in. To start, we're going to be looking at our users. We're going to define what a user is and what a user means in the terms of audience view. So a user is somebody who accesses the application. That access can either come through an online or through the back office. Online, it can be an anonymous user, so somebody just browsing through the site. There's an automated user that will log into the system and control the permissions of what that person can do as they're accessing the site. There is also, once the customer logs in, another login. That's their customer login, and that can have another set of permissions as well. On top of that, we have the back office login. And so this is what we refer to as the desktop login. The desktop's where employees will log in, clients will log in, administrators will log in, people who are setting up performances, selling tickets, printing tickets. Now with a username, we have a few options here. The structure is completely freeform. It's up to you. You can use something like first name, last name. You can use first initial, last name, first name, last initial. Any combination of the two really will work just as fine. Now for passwords, there are certain requirements for desktop users. The online users don't have to follow the same requirements that we're seeing here, and we'll cover this off in a later video. But for desktop requirements, the password must have at least 7 characters, must have a number, an uppercase, a lowercase, and a symbol. Now we're going to look at how to actually set up a user now. So users live in application security. So if we click on that, we see in the top left corner that we're in the user section. The first space that we see here is a search, so we can search for existing users if we need to modify them. But in this case, we're just going to create new. The first step is putting the user name that we've defined, the structure that we decided to use. The first name, middle initial, last name. Greeting name will default in. Email address if you want this user to send emails from the system from a particular email address. Their language they wish to use. The number of failed login attempts, so the number of times somebody can try their password and not know it before getting locked out of the system. Override timeout is applied to users when they want to have another user have the same permissions they have for that particular time. It's an override. The start date is the time when the user will first log in. The end date will be when the user no longer needs access to the system. Either they've left the organization or no longer use audience view. Default dashboard, we will talk in a future session about dashboards, same with associations. But in this case, we'll put in the password, confirm that password, following the rules that we defined earlier. We put in the expiry rule. We want it to be expire now. Expiring the password now will force the user to reset their password the first time that they log in and enter in a password of their own. Here we're going to put in AV administration in a group and box office administrator in the role. We're going to set box office administrator as the default role here as well. We won't go into too much detail here, but in future videos and future training sessions, we'll define what a group is and what a role is. But at this point, to get you going, we can go down and press create. Once create's pressed, you'll see that you'll get a message saying user created. At this point, this step is completed. Moving on, we're going to be talking about login and how to access the Audience View application. So it's a web-based access. You access it through a browser. The best browser to use is Firefox, but you can access it through other major browsers. But to get started, to get to your audience view, you'll be using an IP address provided by your AV project team. This IP address will be used up until the point, and you can continue using after this point as well, but once you secure a domain name, this domain name will be the name that you will use on the website for people to access your audience view. Once that domain name is secure, we'll be helping you secure an SSL certificate. With that SSL certificate, you'll then be able to browse to that domain name to access your audience view, both through the online and through what we refer to as the desktop, as we mentioned for the back office. Then you have access to 2 environments. These environments are your staging environments through the port 8070. Through this environment, you have access to, it's a training environment. It's a testing environment. It's a verification environment. It's a sandbox, really. It's an area that you can go in and test and play around with and get to know it. It's a copy of the production environment, so it's a place that is kept fairly up to date. Now, the production environment, on the other hand, your port 8080 environment, is your real environment. This is the environment where you actually transact real transactions, real payments. You sell your tickets. The configuration here is meant to be clean and concise. So you're building your real performances. So this is the area where actual transaction. It's hooked up to your payment gateway. It's hooked up to your bank account. Customers create accounts on here. Your ticket sellers create accounts on here. Whereas the staging environment is more for just internal use and an area to play around with. So let's log into Audience View. So here we're browsing to an Audience View location in port 8080, so our production environment. We have our login screen with a couple of options here. So we have the desktop, online, kiosk, access control, and POS. So the desktop is the back office. So this is where we're going to be logging in. This is where ticket sellers will log in. This is where administration will log in to build performances, sell tickets, run reports, your day-to-day operations. Then your online is how you can preview your online, take a look at your online, what it is looking like, particularly in your staging environment. Then your kiosk, we have a user interface for kiosk. You can ask about this more with your project team. Then we have access control, which is logging into your scanners and scanning technology user interface. And then we have the POS, which is a point of sale user interface that you can log into as well. But in this case, we're going to concentrate on the desktop. Now, clicking on Audience View Desktop, we see we're taken to the login screen. So we log in with our username and our password. So this goes back to setting it to expire now, and we can see that it's asking us to set in the current password that we have, and then a new password, because the password has expired. So this password the user will come up on their own. Once they have that, they can click Login, and they're logged in. That completes our session, so I want to say thank you, and to try it yourself.